Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason, and incredibly, this is the first Porsche 911 I've worked on this channel in over 6 years and over 350 episodes. In that time, I've tackled the humble 914, 924, 928, 959, 356, 910, 935, 936 and the 917 twice, but never the staple of Stuttgart. So for my first foray with the classic 911, I'm going to be restoring the Schuco Super Schnell 911 S Polizei version. Someone has taken the time to paint blue over the original white body and parts of the transparency too. These Schucos are a very snug push-fit design, so dismantling it's a doddle. The regular 911 S casting was introduced by the German model maker in 1969. There were plenty of variations, with colours ranging from flat or metallic red, blue, white, lime green, orange and silver. All had red interiors, clear transparencies, opening doors, hub wheels, and the metal base provided the model its front and rear bumpers, plus its headlamps. Some versions had black decals applied to their hoods and sometimes roofs, with a white roundel single digit on the bonnet. In 1970, the police versions would follow. The modifications for the police cars were minor. A hole was cut into the roof for a blue beacon to poke through. If it didn't already have it, the transparency also had a hole cut out of it. The only other difference was the addition of a police decal on the roof. This either read police in English or had the German Polizei print. As my model was sent direct to me from Germany by friend of the channel Lothar, I decided to give mine an authentic Polizei decal, which you'll see shortly. In 1976, ahead of production ceasing on the Schuco Super Schnell line, the casting was modified in order to modernise it. It was named Carrera, reflecting the changes the 911 underwent in the mid-70s. It had a larger impact bumper front and rear, while the body was modified to accept this new look. This variation continued under the same model reference as the older 911s and was available in both street and police versions. When the original model launched in 1969, the 911 had already been in production for 5 years, with the S version having arrived in 1967. Everybody knows at least something about the Porsche 911, so I won't be teaching anybody's grandma to suck eggs today, though I will touch on a few interesting tidbits. It was designed to replace the 356, utilising a flat 6 engine instead of the 4-cylinder boxer of its predecessor. A prototype was shown at the 1963 Frankfurt Motor Show, and it entered production in September 1964. 1 month later, Porsche's new car was shown at the Paris Motor Show, and it was named the 901. But it wasn't for long. Peugeot objected in typical French fashion, claiming it had the rights to 3-digit model numbers with a 0 as the middle digit. So Porsche changed the name by putting a 1 in the middle instead. Although this would have only needed to apply to sales in France, Porsche decided to adopt the 911 name across all markets. During that time between production starting and the Paris Motor Show, around 80 cars had been built featuring the 901 name. The early 911s featured a 2-litre air-cooled flat 6, whose parts were almost all uninterchangeable with the 356's flat 4, and it was mated to a 5-speed Type 901 transmission, still carrying its old moniker. While this produced 128 horsepower, the more powerful 911S with 158 horsepower was introduced in 1967, achieved with improved compression and carbs. Its launch coincided with the car being offered with the distinctive Fuchs 5-spoke alloy wheels for the first time. A 207 horsepower racing version of the engine was also developed at that time. That was used in the 9046, 906 and 911R race cars. The 911 was continuously refined over the years. It has internal designations that divided its timelines into different segments. Between 1964 and 1969, it was the O, A and B series when the car featured 2-litre engines. Displacement was increased for 1970 to 2.2 litres, which saw the arrival of the C and D series 911s. E and F followed between 1971 and 1973 when the capacity was again increased to 2.4 litres, before alphabetically G, H, I and J followed in the 2.7 litre period of 1974 to 1977. Now, during this time, there were of course exceptions, such as the entry-level 912 that borrowed the 356's flat 4, or the more powerful Carrera RS, RSR and RSR turbos, spanning 1971 to 1974. In 1974, the 930 version arrived, which was the turbocharged model featuring wider arches and a chonking great whale tail on the back. But more on that and the post-1978 second generation of the classic 911 another day. I'm beginning my reassembly of this Schuko by desperately trying to squeeze in that beacon. This is foreshadowing. I have learned some valuable lessons from this restoration that I'll be taking forward into my future Schuko salvages. But look how well this transparency appears after removing all of the markings from it. It looks totally fresh. I ease in the dashboard and door retaining plastic piece through one of the door openings. This is an ingenious bit of design work. So my lesson is to not paint the posts that push fit to connect the body to the base in future. I think the layers of paint made my attempts to force it back together all the more difficult. What also doesn't help is the beacon that I already pressed in not all that long ago. I may have been able to lean on the roof a bit more if it weren't for that, though the A-pillars are ever so thin on this that I'd be concerned about turning the roof trapezoidal. You can see I'm using a fair amount of force wherever I possibly can here. This was how my Schuco Super Schnell Polizei Porsche was looking before. A lot of alliteration there. A previous owner went to town on the bodywork, covering it in what appears to be a dark blue marker. The windows didn't miss out and neither did the beacon, but they did avoid the wheels, which was a nice touch. I thought this would look so much crisper and cleaner in its original white paint with a Polizei decal, and this is the result. A much crisper and cleaner white Polizei Porsche. I think I've managed to get the font on the rooftop decal pretty spot on, and it's probably the part I'm most proud of. The body was otherwise a straightforward strip and repaint, but elsewhere I polished that metal base with Autosol, so not only the underside shines, but the bumpers and headlamps do too. I then washed the tyres in Citadel gloss before retrimming the hubs in chrome, gave the interior a quick clean, and ousted the marker from the transparency so it is looking box fresh again. Let me know your thoughts on my makeover down in the comments and leave a like if you enjoyed the build. Make sure you're subscribed for all of my latest restorations, customs and the rest. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.
Man muss beim 5-Gang-Getriebe natürlich mehr schalten als mit nur 4 Gängen. Aber so hat man in jeder Fahrsituation. Es versteht sich von selbst, dass ein Wagen mit solchen Fahrleistungen auch ein Optimum an Straßenlage bieten muss. Wird das Gas geben richtig dosiert,